Hey guys, my name is Spencer Ryan. I am the creative director here at Tortuga Marketing. Today we have a little bit of entertainment for you. I'm going to go over some old age marketing techniques and contrast them with some of the newer stuff that we have available to us today. Fortunately, our video editor, Abby, has compiled a list of things that I haven't seen yet that I'm gonna pull up on my phone, and I'm gonna go through them step by step, kind of react to them because it's gonna be my first time seeing them, and kind of show you guys how marketing has progressed over the past couple of years. I do have my coffee here. I hope you have yours because we're gonna be here for a little while, so stick around and enjoy. Cheesy as hell. So in this folder, I have billboards. Billboards are still commonly used today. We see them all over the place, but you kind of have to ask yourself, what are the value of these now versus what they were then? So we're gonna pull up Times Square. All right. I've personally been to Times Square. I don't know if you guys have been. I'm sure some of you have. Here we have a billboard from Gap. We have these digital screens, Toys R Us, and Gap seems to have a lot of real estate on these billboards. So the interesting thing about billboards is it's kind of hard to track your ROI and understand how many people you're reaching. You know that there might be a certain metric where it comes to like how much foot traffic or how much traffic drives by that specific billboard, but there's no way to tell whether or not someone's actually looking at your billboard. But Times Square is very different because Times Square is such a large tourist attraction that a lot of times people get caught up. There's shops there, there's like retail, there's all kinds of stuff in that area. So Times Square is a huge market for advertisers because they feel like they can get a lot of eyes at once. Going over to the Better Call Saul billboard. This is funny. Billboards to me, and this one right here, I've always laughed at like attorney billboards. If you're an attorney and you're out there, I apologize, but they can be so cringy sometimes. And this one just reminds me of that. I see them all the time. I see attorney billboards everywhere. I have to suspect that it's probably because like a lot of the attorneys that you see are if you've been in a car accident or if you got a speeding ticket. So they got their target audience right. But I have personally never hired an attorney because I saw their billboard. And I'm sure there is some data out there that shows that it does help a little bit, but I'm not fully convinced. Grace and Frankie Netflix show. This is pretty funny. These are interesting because I have personally, I've been in Queens, New York. I've seen shows from Netflix or whatever on billboards, and I have watched those shows. This is going to tie into something that we're going to talk about in a little bit, like content marketing. This is a purely entertainment style advertisement, and that's what I like the most when I see a billboard. I like seeing billboards that make me laugh or billboards that are trying to bring me a certain type of entertainment or something. This gets the stamp of approval for me. But again, I think with billboards, it can be difficult to track your ROI and understand how many people are actually engaging with what they're seeing or how many people are seeing it at all. Let's switch it up a little bit. We have another folder for magazine ads. Let's pull this one up. Boy Trap, number 18. Build a better boy trap. Cover one slice of Wonder Bread with generous slices of roast beef topped with crisp lettuce. This is definitely an old ad. I don't think this ad would ever survive today. It's got all of the checks for an old age, like early, I'm gonna say like 70s or 80s. I don't know. I can't tell. Magazine ads were huge because they were the craze. Like nowadays when people are scrolling through Instagram endlessly, just scrolling, or Facebook or TikTok, magazines were that back in the day. You would go to your local bookstore, your magazine shop, you'd pick up a magazine, you'd flip through it, and chances are you would want to see everything in that magazine. So as you're flipping through it, you're going to see an ad. And this is a prime example. It's huge. It's got a woman on the front, it's got a sandwich. I mean, it's hitting all of your senses. Yeah, I mean, I think these were interesting. specifically when it comes to measuring ROI and getting analytics on this, you could kind of tell just by the amount of people that purchased that specific magazine. You could tell, you know, how many people were in your target audience and, you know, how well it was working. And then you would see the increase in sales or decrease in sales or whatever. This is an ad for men. I like this. Hire more women in leadership roles. We're all worth it. L'Oreal Paris. This is a good ad. This is a good magazine ad. It caught my attention because in bold it says this is an ad for men. I mean, they got their target audience down, and it has a very bold statement. I like this. I like this ad a lot, actually. University of Arizona College of Management, March 2018. Analysis of Fortune 500 companies. 20% innovation increase, patents with female leaders. I approve this ad. I like this one. Let's move on to the next one. I don't even know how to say cellophane. What is it? I don't know this product. Everything's at its best in cellophane. Plastic wrap. This is child abuse. Okay, there's a child in here. This is now. You know how nowadays when you see like toys and stuff, it's like, do not give to children. You may suffocate them. This is that. This is another very old ad. I can't tell. Coming from DuPont. Keeps things clean, keeps things fresh, lets you see what you buy. Mom says I'm so fresh and so clean, sometimes she auto-wrap me. I don't like this ad. This is child abuse. Moving on to the next one. Oh, smoking ads. Smoking ads were huge in magazines. Terraton. I'm butchering these names. Some of these products I don't even know. They don't even exist, which might be a testament to the marketing techniques and how well they worked. But I do know for a fact that campaigns around smoking and cigarettes were huge and highly successful back in the day. I do remember learning about a distinct time when almost every single advertisement you saw was somewhat related to a cigarette and how cool you were if you smoked. It was huge. It had a lot of buzz. And it was very successful, as we know. Here in 2020, looking back, you can see how successful the tobacco industry has been when it comes to their advertisements. And we're kind of seeing that shift. They're now dipping into other spaces and like, you know, marijuana, CBD, hemp, all that stuff. It's not fully legal yet. It's not fully accepted yet. They're dipping into it. And I wouldn't be surprised if we see some sort of advertisement pending, you know, the fact that the government doesn't ban it or something, because like Facebook bans CBD promotions right now. But I wouldn't be surprised if they took, you know, a page right out of their old book and did the same thing. Smokers would rather fight than switch. This is a powerful ad. And I don't really want to speak on it, but I know that these ads had a huge impact back in the day. It was very, very impactful. 10,000 dogs. This is gonna hit home. This is gonna hit home for me. I love dogs. 10,000 dogs are euthanized every day. Adopt today. ASPCA. Ooh, I like how they did the page rip on this ad. That's really cool. This was a good magazine ad. Not only because people love pets, people love dogs, people love animals. So not only does it kind of hit you emotionally, but it was designed really well. That little page rip with the color and stuff, that was a cool ad. I remember the Got Milk ads. These are, I remember having these in school way back in the day, like elementary school. They'd have the Got Milk posters on the wall, and that was super effective because you were in the cafeteria, all they had was milk, so everything you saw was milk. It's just funny. What's my bag? All right, enough of magazine ads. Let's do some radio and TV spots. See what Abby pulled up for us. Radio spots. Oh, O'Reilly.
We may not be able to lower the cost of gas, but we can do something about how many miles you will drive per gallon. Stop by your local O'Reilly Auto Parts store.
So I had a background in being a mechanic, and I will never forget, like, even as someone who, like, before I was a mechanic, before I knew much about cars, these radio commercials were stuck in my head. Like, you would hear it, and you could even sing it with friends. I remember, you know, just being like, oh, O'Reilly's, and then your friends would just like finish it with auto parts. Highly effective, but you have to ask yourself how many people are listening to the radio these days. And so a lot of these commercials are now being pushed into like Pandora, some of those, like Spotify, stuff like that, YouTube. So they're getting clever, but radio was another thing that you didn't know the full metric. Like you knew how many listeners a station probably had, and I think actually Abby could speak on this a lot too, because she has a lot of experience in the radio industry. But I think that, you knew more or less how many listeners you had, but it was hard to track those metrics, who was listening, who was doing something while that commercial played, so marketing was a tough game back in the day, and you really had to nail it right and capture someone's attention. This ad did a good job of that because it's a catchy tune and you're always going to remember it. Let's see what's next. Let's do one more radio spot. I don't remember this.
1877 cards for kids. KARS cards for kids. 1877.
I don't ever remember hearing this. Again, you're kind of, you remember this?
O'Reilly level, like catchy, like people were just singing it.
Okay, well, see, apparently people knew. I didn't. But again, like she said, like this is another one of those, like you're noticing this trend with these radio commercials. They're kind of catchy. They get you, remembering them and then stuck in your head, and then you're at work and you're singing a commercial. I mean, that's free advertisement. That's crazy. Let's do a TV spot. What's this one? Tootsie Roll. This.
Does it take to get to the Tootsie Roll center of a Tootsie Pop?
I don't know. I always end up biting. Ask Mr. Fox, for he's much cleverer than I.
Mr. Fox, how many licks does it take to get to the
Just
Tootsie
get to
Roll
the
center of a
owl
Tootsie?
one.
Mr. Owl. A 1, a 2, a 3. See, I know this commercial.
A good question. Let's find out. 1, 2, 3, 3.
Oh, this was iconic. When I was growing up watching TV, I remember this. And yes, this was very effective because it caught my attention as a kid, and all I ever wanted to eat was Tootsie Rolls, especially the little Tootsie Roll Pops. So, and you notice something in this ad that it's almost like a challenge. I can relate it kind of to like the viral movements these days, like the challenges that you see on Instagram or TikTok. I remember kids would go around with these Tootsie Roll Pops, literally trying to get to the end and see how many licks it would take. So very good commercial. Let's see another one. Let's do this one. Snuggie. Infomercials.
Blankets are okay, but they can slip and slide. And when you need to reach for something, your hands are trapped inside. Now, there's the Snuggie, the blanket that has sleeves. The Snuggie keeps you totally warm.
I remember. Do you have a Snuggie?
I have one.
I used to have a Snuggie too. They were so comfortable, but I feel like this is one of the, so like this reminds me of the infomercials, and I feel like this is one of those ones that was acceptable just because like it was a valuable product. You kind of understood like, I need that. You're cold at home. Like that's perfect. So before going any further, I kind of want to, branch into what we just talked about. So we talked about billboards, we talked about magazine ads, we talked about radio commercials and TV commercials. And something that was super common amongst all of these is you had an idea of how many people you might reach with this, but you never really had a true metric as to how many people were reached, how many people engaged. There was no direct connection between I saw a billboard and I walked in your front door. That was a hard line to draw. So it was all really kind of a guessing game. And so marketing teams back in the day really had to put forth their best effort to capture the attention of these individuals that were listening, watching, and reading. Another thing is that it was super expensive. I mean, running a TV commercial, running a radio commercial, putting an ad in the magazine was very expensive because these were all like almost luxury items. If you were able to show up on someone's TV, it was gonna cost you. And if you were able to show up on someone's eyes as they're flipping through a magazine, it was gonna cost you. So these were all very expensive ways to advertise and to market yourself without any real metric as to figuring out how well it worked and how effective it was. So let's dive into some of the newer techniques that we have these days. The first one that comes to mind is going to be Facebook ads. You guys have heard us here at Tortuga Marketing talk about Facebook ads. And the reason why Facebook ads are so important and so powerful is that they give you a direct line to that metric that we were talking about that you didn't have with these older marketing techniques. So let's pull up an example. Right here is a Facebook ad from DoorDash. And not only is this a great ad, ramen in your recliner, especially like I imagine that this was probably ran sometime around cozy winter time. So already you're thinking like, oh, a bowl of soup, a bowl of ramen would be great. Targeting someone with these Facebook ads is really easy. I mean, you could literally go into Facebook and say, I want to target people that like ramen. So now, instead of just throwing it out to everyone and hoping that people that like ramen see it like you would on a billboard, now you can specifically target people that you already know like ramen. And Facebook has built this platform to give you, the advertiser and the marketer, data to figure out how well people reacted to it. So you can see how many people clicked, you can see how many people ordered, you can see how many people watched it, and you can take that data too. If someone did not order, you can retarget them with a new ad. It's extremely powerful, and you'd be surprised, but you can reach people with ads like this for as little as 25 cents per impression and about 80 cents per click. And if you want to learn more about Facebook ads, we do have a couple of PPC videos that Paola, our media buy specialist, did on our YouTube channel and on our Facebook, so you can definitely check those out. But ultimately, it's important to understand that Facebook ads kind of filled that hole that we had, not understanding how to really draw a line from, what you spent and what your ad was, and like how many people are actually engaging with it. So DoorDash did a great job with this one. And I'm a huge advocate of Facebook ads, and if you're not running them for your business, you definitely should be, because it's very powerful. This one's famous. This one actually showed up in Gary Vee's book. This is the tweet that Oreo made during the Super Bowl. It was huge. So if you didn't know, during the Super Bowl, I don't remember which specific Super Bowl it was, but there was a blackout in the Superdome. And while the power was out, it was out for like 30 minutes. Oreo very strategically came through and I guess put together this really quick image and put it out on their Twitter. They tweeted it and it said, "Power out, no problem." And then the image says, "You can still dunk in the dark." And this is a form of social media content marketing. And this is one of the best examples because it got over like 10,000 retweets. It was hugely viral at the time. And so you got to think, being able to act on your feet that quickly is kind of hard, but Oreo was able to accomplish it, and it came at almost no cost to them. I mean, they already have designers, they already have people doing this stuff, they already have social media managers. All they had to do was capitalize on the opportunity and provide something value or entertainment to their audience, and it was relevant. The Super Bowl had the power outage, they were sitting there for 30 minutes. You couldn't have picked a better time to post something like this, and it really was successful. And again, Twitter allows you to see analytics. You can see the metrics of who is actually engaging with what you post. So it's another great way to reach people that we didn't have 20 years ago. Here's one more. This is another example of content marketing that I like. This is Coca-Cola. So some of you may remember that Coca-Cola did this whole campaign where they would put names on the bottles. And they would, promote this through content marketing. So like this specific photo was shared and it says, "Share a Coke with Ed." So you have to imagine all of the Eds out there are really soaking this up and loving this. And anyone who's married to an Ed is loving this too. So this is another great example. Again, not high in cost, and you were able to get it out to your audience really quickly. So content marketing is a very powerful tool that you can use at little cost to reach a lot of people that you already know are interested in your brand. All right, so one more. This is another example of content marketing. This is something HootSuite did. They I have to imagine this took a lot of money. So in this instance, maybe it didn't cost so little, but it was executed very well. They basically redid the intro to Game of Thrones in their own form to promote their product. Here it is. Love the details in this. Nice. There's so many moving pieces to this, and feel free to look it up on your own time. I don't want to waste your time by just playing through the whole thing, but this was interesting because Game of Thrones was a huge hit. If you didn't know, you probably did know, but if you didn't, Game of Thrones is a show on HBO that really took off. It had, I think, 8 seasons, or I don't remember how many seasons, but it had a very loyal fan base, and I was one of them. And so to see, like, the intro was one of the coolest parts of the entire show, just because of how complex it was and how, detailed it was. You could tell there was a lot of time spent on the intro, and so for HootSuite to come out and do this was a really great opportunity for them to use content marketing and target people that may potentially be their customers that love Game of Thrones. So this was another great example of content marketing that I think, looking at how difficult it was to do something like this 20 years ago, the opportunities are limitless now, and this is the golden age when it comes to marketing. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I really wanted to break down and compare how marketing has changed over the years and how easy it is for us these days to target people that could potentially be our customers. If you guys like this video, please give it a like and follow and subscribe to our channel to see more videos like this. That's all for today, and we'll see you guys on the next video.